Hi everybody and welcome to my page. This is me, Raheen Fatma. After with interviews after a lot of time. And this interview is kind of like a new beginning because this is my first ever interview in my new house. So I moved houses, the new background, new place, new internet and everything. And this is so amazing. Today we have Inge Urbanic who is connecting the world through education. A beautiful concept, a beautiful lady, and let's hear the beautiful introduction from the beautiful lady.
Thank you so much, Raheen, and congratulations on your new move in your new home and for all that you're doing. And your background is amazing. For 12 years old, everything that you're doing, you are an inspiration for children around the globe. Not only children, but adults as well. So you keep doing what you're doing. I'm honored to be here today, and I'm so grateful that you asked me to come on for your interview. So a little bit about me. So my name is Inge Urbanic, and I teach English as a second language here in the United States. And I live right outside of Washington, D.C. in the state of Virginia. And I have 2 kids, teenagers, and a dog, kind of a typical American life. So my passion is, as you said, it's connecting people and connecting cultures around the globe. And I've had this passion since also I was young. I was probably about your age, probably even a little bit younger when I started, because I also had a German mother and an American father. So I was raised in a family with 2 different cultures. So we spoke German and English at home. And we had German food and American food. And I had family living in Germany and family living in America. So from very young, I understood that there was more than one way of living. Because even though today, Germany and America seem very similar, however, when you really start to get into different cultures, you start to see that there still are a lot of differences. So because of this foundation, kind of in multiculturalism, let's call it, I learned very early on that I was very interested in different cultures and languages and different ways of living. And it was always exciting to me to learn that, if there was something in your life that maybe you didn't like or you thought was boring or something like that, well, you knew that you could create something different or make another connection with someone else because there were going to be people who lived very differently, right? So anyway, this has been my passion. And as I continued getting older and continuing on throughout my career, not only did I work for many years in international business to connect cultures, but I also became a teacher so that I could have a greater firsthand impact on taking students from all around the world, all different cultural backgrounds, and have them in one place learning English. And even though we're all in there learning English, okay, that's the reason we're there, we're really learning about each other as well. We're learning about each other's cultures, what each other's families, each other's food. So through education, and specifically what I'm doing in English as a second language, I'm working to create these opportunities to connect people around the world.
An amazing introduction, I must say, and all these cultures coming together is something that is so special on its own. Now let's get to the real start. Where were you born?
Okay, let's get to the real start. I like that. So where was I born? I was born in a little town, kind of not far from DC, called in a state of Maryland called Baltimore. Okay, so I was born, that was the city, Baltimore, Maryland, and I grew up in an even smaller town called Owings Mills. If anybody on here has heard of Owings Mills, that will be amazing. Then you should text me. It's a very small town, but this is where I was born and raised. And now I live only about an hour, maybe an hour and a half from there, not very far, because this area in general, you know, living so close to Washington, D.C., New York, Philadelphia, there's a lot of opportunities for people in this part of the world, in the United States, and especially global opportunities and international. There's so many international people who live in this area because, you know, there's diplomats for the government. There's so many international companies that have a presence here. So this is really why I'm still in this kind of the same kind of area, only about an hour or so from where I grew up. But this is where I am. Yes.
So, you know, of course, every kid is raised in a different way because every parent has a different perspective on parenting. So, do you think there was something different when you were like growing up, like how your you know, of course, you know, versatile parents raised you that made like a difference in you as a human being?
Yes, absolutely. You know, our parents are our first teachers, right? So we learn about the world and we learn about religion and culture and food and cooking and all of those things. We learn from our parents because they are the first teachers that we have before we get out into the world. So, of course, our parents are going to have a big influence on our life. And my parents still do. From the encouragement that I got from them when I was a young girl, and they always pushed us very hard to make sure that we had the best education, that we pushed ourselves, that we focused on school, we focused on learning, we focused on religion, we focused on being a good family, having family time together, to be able to sit and have dinner together, play games together, you know, socialize with our siblings. So that really is the foundation of, you know, who you are. And as you grow and you start to get more experience in the world, mostly through education, okay, through your high school, elementary school, your high school, eventually the university, hopefully, you know, for some people, you end up, your world is going to start to expand more, and you're going to start to learn about different things and different ways of life and different belief systems and different cultures and different languages. And it's going to be important for you to navigate yourself and think, who are you, right? With the foundation that you were given as a child by your parents, it's important to be able to take that information and figure out who are you in this world with all of these different influences around. And how do you create a difference with your unique talents, right? Your unique attributes, what can you give? And all of this comes, but it all starts at home with your parents in the very beginning. That's the foundation for sure.
When you have a lot of people in your house, they're like talking, and I'm like, shush. So, now I get what was different in your growing up, because I also got to experience a lot of cultures because my dad, because of his job, we keep on moving. Like, we move now, we're gonna move after a year again, then after maybe 2 years or a year again. So we keep on moving around the country, sometimes even abroad. So we get to see a lot as kids, and like, we are not then way too amazed by things, but
Mhm.
like really content in certain situations. Now, I want to ask you something. Now, do not get offended because
I will not.
my my really pure um,
Don't worry.
I was
I won't be
exposed to
offended.
American culture by Netflix, so I have no idea.
Don't
So
worry.
when I think of America, I instantly think of cheeseburgers and like McDonald's things
Hot dogs.
on
Yeah.
the table, yeah, and
Cowboys.
soccer games, not football games, but soccer games, right? So I think of a lot of different things, and that's how it is shown on TV
Yeah.
because I watch soccer games, or I watch how they eat, or I watch
Yeah.
YouTube videos. Now,
Mhm.
what do you think? Because American culture is actually a really rich culture because they've added Indian food into it. They've added some of the Pakistani culture. It's like a blend of all cultures because
Yes.
since like I think for the past 100 years, there's been millions of people from around the world going to America, and that's their top choice for the place to immigrate to. So, what do you have to say about America being so accepting of cultures?
You are such a great interviewer. I love your questions. You have two parts to that question. The first part is America as cheeseburgers. And the second part is America with many cultures, right? So I think you have two different questions. So, of course, what you see in the movies is the movies. That's Hollywood, okay? Just in the same way that if you are watching Bollywood, okay, if I think that all Pakistanis and Indians are living like it is in Bollywood, that wouldn't be right either, right? So you probably just have a regular life. You wake up in the morning, you eat your breakfast, you do your studies, you get dressed. Maybe you're tired, maybe it's raining, maybe it's not, maybe you're in a good mood, maybe you're not in a good mood, maybe you just had a fight with your brother, maybe you're having a test tomorrow that you're worried about. This is how your real life is, right? Maybe you're going to go and get some Pakistani food, some biryani, or maybe you feel like getting a piece of pizza, right? It's kind of how it is here. So we just wake up, we have our day, we need to clean our rooms, make our beds, do the dishes, take out the trash, walk the dog, okay? We have stress just like you. We have to be places, we sit in traffic. All of that is exactly the same. And what happens is that, in different cultures, of course, there becomes what we call a stereotype where you think of Americans are all like this, right? Americans all eat cheeseburgers and hot dogs and watch football games, or Americans all live in huge houses, or Americans are all loud, right? But just like in Pakistan, if you think of everybody in your family and all of your friends, everyone has a unique personality, don't they? So your sister, if you have a sister or a brother, they're probably very different from you, I would think. Even though you're in the same family and you're Pakistani. I have a feeling if you have a sister or a cousin, you have a very different personality than than hers, even though you're in the same family and you're Pakistani, right? So in this same way, if you look at a whole country, imagine that. There's so many differences among people. So what you see in Hollywood is only Hollywood, just entertainment. And for the second part of your question, absolutely. America is what we call a melting pot, or some people like to call it a tossed salad, if you've ever heard of that expression. A tossed salad, if you have a green salad with tomatoes and cucumbers and onions and mushrooms and all these different flavors in it that make it delicious, Okay. Sometimes people talk about America like that because, in a way, we are the great experiment. There's really no other country in the world who has been like this, that has just been created. And people have been coming here from all over the world, and we're all American. So I have Pakistani neighbors, and they're American. And I have Indian neighbors, and they're American. And Filipino, and Saudi Arabian, and Italian. My family is German, right? So we have all of these different people who are living here together. Many people, they have their own foods. Now, since we have so many different cultures, many areas, especially here where I live in the DC area, we have restaurants from any kind of food you want. You're going to find it because there's going to be a community from that area, especially here with all of the embassies, right? So we have a lot of embassies in Washington. So because there's embassies, there's going to be families and people from all of those countries. So it's a little bit different from what you see in the movies. But if you think about it, just like you would even think about the differences in your own family, then you can imagine how it's very difficult to say a whole country is the same, right? When you even see the differences in your own, with your own brother or sister, then you can imagine the diversity that we have here, and just as you do in Pakistan.
Yeah, so like culture of exchange, we talked about cultures and how we do not need to focus on the stereotypes. What do you think is like stopping us from that crazy cultural exchange that we have to start like right now?
What is stopping us? Well, I'm going to maybe disagree with you, because I think it's starting. Look at us, right? Look at the Rahan Foundation. Look at people who, because of COVID, are now connecting with people globally who they couldn't connect with before, right? So, of course, there are going to be all different kinds of people in the world, and some people maybe aren't interested in connecting, right? Maybe their life is just fine the way it is. And that's okay. Everybody has a right to do what makes them happy. However, if we are people who feel that there is an importance to connect and make these connections to promote understanding and peace, then it's our obligation to do it. If we just sit back and say, somebody else will do it, then there's a problem, right? But you're doing it. You are doing it. You're living it by pulling people like me and finding us and pulling us together. So I disagree with your question when you say, why aren't we doing it? We are doing it. You are doing it.
Yeah, we're starting.
Okay? You are doing it.
Yeah. So I have another question for you. So tell me, like, English is important because it's like kind of the global language now. Like, you know English, you can talk to a Chinese person if you do not know Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, English is kind of helping us connect also through Facebook, because if you know English, you can just type their message in English and not be worried about whether you know the other person's language or not. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you think is the English? Why do you think is the English so important? Like, I mean,
for that exact reason. For that exact reason that you're saying, Raheen. For the exact reason, because it is the global connector. Now, is it right or wrong that it's English? I'm not going to talk about that. It just is. At this point, English is a very common language, and that people are learning around the world. And it's a method to communicate, to be able to understand each other. I also am a huge fan of learning languages, even though I'm a native English speaker. And I don't really even have to, right? Because I already speak English. So I could just say, everybody speak English with me. But I don't feel that that's fair either for me to expect everyone else to speak English. So, as I said, I grew up speaking German. So I can speak with my family when I go to Germany. I'm German. I studied Spanish in school for many years. So when I work with, when I'm traveling to Spanish speaking countries, I do everything in Spanish. All of my friends on Facebook in Spanish, we are in Spanish. I don't make them speak English. I studied a little French. I studied a little Thai. I studied trying a little Arabic, a little Urdu. But the point is that English it just happens to be the language. We can get into a whole debate why and whether or not it's the right language, but that's a different conversation. The reality is it is English. That is the global connecting language. And so in order to connect and create global opportunities for yourself, it's important to learn this skill to expand your connections in the world.
So we have a question, and that is by Shahrukh Ali, and he's asking why America is the land of opportunities.
That's a great question. So when you live in America, okay, I'm going to say right now that there are pros and cons to every country. So I'm not coming on here saying that America is perfect with everything. I'm just going to answer your question as to why we are the land of opportunity and why are people coming here. And I can tell you this from my own experience, okay? So as a woman in America, there has not been any type of barrier at all on what I can accomplish. There's no restrictions on me. If I want, for a large part of my life, I was actually a full-time stay-at-home mother, and that was fine. I loved it. I was home with my kids. I created a beautiful home. So I did that. And after a while, I decided, I want to start a business. And I did. And I had a successful consulting business. And then I thought, you know what? I kind of want to start to connect people through travel. How am I going to do that? So I created a travel business, C2C travel. And I was able to then go bring clients to the United Arab Emirates, to Cuba. I went back to school. I got my teaching degree. I have now my bachelor's degree in business. My master's degree is in teaching, and I'm pursuing my PhD, my doctorate in international education. There have been no barriers. The government, thank you. So the government has an equality in that sense for everyone, equal opportunity. Of course, we're not perfect, and we have problems that we work through, just like any country and any family, right? With so many different people and different cultures, and everybody is still, just like you might with your sibling, if you have to share a bedroom, right? With your sister, maybe you want the bed next to the window, but you're not going to get it. Maybe she's going to get it because she's older. So you have to find peace, even living with people who are competing for the same thing. So these are some of the difficulties with living here. It's not easy. People who come and say, oh, it's just easy, you can come to America and there's going to be money everywhere. It's not easy because everyone is coming here for the same opportunity. So you have to really work for it. If you sit back and just say, it'll come to me, it'll never come. Nobody's going to come here and just give it to you. Okay, so when I wanted to have opportunities for travel, I created it. I created the business. I created the website. I created my Facebook page, my Instagram page, right? My English works. I have another English language company. All of that. So this is where I'm saying, even as an American, it is a land of opportunity. Yes. For that reason, nobody's going to hold you back. You can follow your dream and live your passion, and you can change it many times. You can go from being a business person, you could go from being a stay-at-home mom to a business person, to a teacher, to a mentor, and that's perfectly accepted.
That is because, I already said that America is very acceptive, whether that be cultures or professions or people. There's not, that sense of discrimination everywhere. Now, I wanted to add something to your answer that now here, I mean, I have relatives, close relatives who live in the United States. They are rich, right? Now, if I start seeing that, oh my God, they're so rich, now I should go and I get rich. That's not the case. What sometimes we do not see is that they've been working for about like 17 to 16 plus years just to get to that status that they bring you a lot of gifts here, right?
Yeah.
They need to work hard for those gifts all year long, and like maybe bring it on Eid or bring it on when they had their Christmas holidays, and they can come here. So, we also have to see through certain things in order to understand. Now here, America has a reputation. People, there's actually two people sitting, and they might be talking about how good American white people are, or American people in general are. They're like, they do this, they wake up early in the morning, they do this, they go to the job, they have dogs, they have this. And we keep talking about it, but in some point we lose what we have to do. No, they're good, they're punctual, they're achieving. We need to be punctual, we need to be achieving. So I think that too is really important, to see through stuff and also pay attention to certain details, because that's kind of the miscommunication in the cultural exchange, and it's important not to happen.
I have to tell you that is really true, and I'm glad you're bringing that up, because the idea that everyone in America is rich is just not true. Okay, there are people who are rich in America, just like there's people who are rich in Pakistan. But is everybody rich? No. We have mostly middle class, and when you think of an American, probably another stereotype, which is actually quite true, is that Americans are typically always very busy, very scheduled, because there is constantly things that we need to be doing, which is mostly work. We work a lot. So if we end up earning money, it's not just that it came falling out of a tree. It's that for years and years, people have worked and saved, just like your family. They didn't come here and just automatically get rich. I am sure that your family struggled for years, just as we all do, in order to be where they are, right? So that's really, really important. And the second thing I would just want to mention to you about when you're seeing how Americans are this and punctual and, wondering maybe should you be that way. What's important to remember, Raheen, is that every culture has their own unique beauty about it. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are also valuing and appreciating the beauty of Pakistani culture, the beauty of the closeness of family in the Pakistani culture, how supportive you are of each other. Those things we don't have here. Families here in the United States live everywhere apart. My sister lives 3,000 miles away in California. My parents live 1,000 miles away in Atlanta. This is normal for families, okay? So we don't have that same kind of bond. If you live by yourself, you have to take care of yourself. Your neighbors don't come by to check on you, really. So what I see in Pakistani culture, the way that the families stay together, the cousins stay together, the parents, the grandparents are together, okay? The way that the community helps each other. These are things, you know, okay, maybe there's an issue that in America we're more punctual, but it doesn't mean you want to think that ours is better or worse. It's just different. You know, we have a lot of things missing from our culture that I see in your culture that you want to make sure you keep and preserve. It's all about learning and experiencing the differences and trying to adapt to the ones where you think it's going to help you succeed while you keep your own identity, who you are as a person. Don't lose yourself by trying to be something else.
I see. And so I have my last question, and then I'll be ending the broadcast, but you should stay back. I just have to talk to you about this amazing opportunity
Sure.
that I just kind of reminded by, and I'm like, this like kind of fits with the lady, and I'm like, amazing. So when you talk about culture exchange, like you also have a travel business. So do you offer like culture exchange like to students, like students going there and studying there at the high school?
You know, that's my dream. If I had more time, at some point, hopefully, yes, I will be able to offer this to students. However, as you can imagine, I have a lot going on because, you know, I'm American. So and I'm doing all these things on my own between the professor and I'm a PhD student and then the travel business. Now, granted, in COVID, the travel business is not doing very much. But the connections that I'm making in the travel business are right now, they're private trips. So if you have your family or a friend, small private trips that I arrange custom in order for you to go to two countries, Cuba or the United Arab Emirates. And when you get there, I have established a full network of local Cubans or local people in the Emirates who take you in almost as your family or as their family, right? So that you have an authentic experience of the country while you're there. Not as a tourist, but you actually get to go in and immerse yourself so that you really can try to understand. In the Emirates, my clients can understand about Islam, ask questions about what is it like in the Arab world, try to break down misunderstandings, cultural misunderstandings. And also for the people in the Emirates to be able to ask my Americans, you know, oh, I thought you all ate cheeseburgers. And they'll see that they don't, right? So my goal through the travel is not to be a big for-profit tourist destination. No, it's to be able to create, and what I do is I create very intentional trips based on what you're looking for. And I make that happen with the connections that I've created in Cuba and the Arab Emirates, and hopefully someday Pakistan. Now that I see that Pakistan,
I would love to help you with Pakistan because I have connections almost all over Pakistan because I've been moving a lot. So I make friends, I know locals, I know places. I think I would really be able to help with this.
Thank
Now,
you.
I totally agree with you because the way that you see a country in a five-star hotel versus living as maybe a paying guest in somebody else's houses, eating what they eat, not what they offer in a five-star hotel, is really the, you know, being exposed to the real culture, you know, kind of thing. And also,
and it's
like,
not for everyone. It's not for everyone. You know, sometimes you might want to go and just be a tourist. But the point is that what I'm doing is creating that traveler experience.
yeah.
You get it.
I totally agree. It's amazing having you, Inga, because, you know, after a long time I'm interviewing and it's like, you know, finally somebody understands me. Like, it's just so, it's like that mutual connection. And I saw in the comments, a lot of my audience, they're connecting like a lot. And I'm so happy that they are. So thank you so much. And I hope that we come together with another session.
Yeah.
And please stay back for a moment. I have to talk to you about something.
I will. And I want to just congratulate you, Raheen. When I'm reading about everything that you've done, you have accomplished more in your life so far than some people accomplish in their whole life. So I hope and pray that your life continues and that you continue to meet your dreams and keep pushing yourself. And whatever I can do to support you, whatever the world can do to support you, we need people like you as an example of the power of living your dream and being a doer. You are a doer, and you're making
Thank
a
you so
difference.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching, and we'll come again with another beautiful lady or a beautiful man for a beautiful session. Okay? Goodbye.
Bye.